Namaste to Guruji and Jai Guruji to his loving Sangat. So last week I had read a couple chapters from my dedication to Guru Sahib. It's a small book about my life experiences with Guruji. The book is called 2 So we finished reading the first 4 chapters, and in continuation I will be reading 2 more chapters today from the book. So सबसे पहले तो शुक्राना करना चाहूँगी इस सत्संग करने की बख्शीश का जो गुरु महाराज ने और उनकी प्यारी संगत ने मेरी झोली में डाली है. And the most beautiful moments of our life, जिसे कहते हैं ना उसको excuse me, मुट्ठी में बंद करके रखा हुआ है, और जब मैं आंखें बंद करती हूँ I like to relive those moments. And some of those beautiful memories and beautiful blessings are little things like being able to get a sip of chai prashad from Guruji's cup, or a sip, of coconut water, nariyal pani from Guruji's glass. Guruji का हाथ या पाँव दबाने का मौका मिलना, उनके साथ हाथ मिलाने का मौका मिलना, getting an opportunity to sit with him in the car, and on that ride get an opportunity to smell the dastwar and the fragrance that he was oozing from those energy points. And the most special one is, getting his Jutti Prashad directly from Guruji. So those are some of the things that we absolutely relish and cherish and think about, those blessings and those priceless memories often. And all we can do is Shakrana. So Shakrana करते हुए आज की reading शुरू करते हैं, which is chapter 5 from my book 2. So continue करते हुए, so in first initial chapters I described कि मेरा कैसे गुरुजी के पास Empire State में जाना हुआ, what were some of my first impressions, and how even though we went as a family, all of us connected independently at an individual level, and what led to my faith being cemented. So that was in short first 4 chapters की summary. तो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं chapter 5, which is life across the 7 seas. तो एक बार जब आदत पड़ जाए ना कि excuse my cough, कि गुरुजी के पास रोज जाकर बैठना है, उनकी blessings लेनी है बगैर नागे के, और उसके बाद जब आप country छोड़ के जा रहे हो तो ऐसे लगता है that you are leaving your heart and soul behind and embarking upon a new journey. So this chapter is called Life Across the 7 Seas. I left India in 2004 after my marriage. I had embarked upon a new phase of my life in a whole different continent. Life went on. Guruji blessed us with a beautiful daughter Anya in the first year of being married. And I tell Anya very proudly that probably, Anya can say that her 3 generations have been connected to Guruji. So it's Anya, Anya's mother, which is me, and her grandparents, Nanu, Nani. और जब आन्या कुछ I think 8 या 9 महीने की थी तो मैं गुरुजी के पास लेकर गई, और हमने आन्या को literally as an infant गुरुजी के पैरों में रखा था. So I tell her, I said, you will not remember this, and I don't know how many other kids in your generation would have had that opportunity, but you actually were physically placed in Guruji's feet. Sadly, I developed a herniated disc as part of the delivery, and my back pain became so chronic that I felt paralyzed and helpless. Every pain attack meant a visit to an emergency room and injections directly in the spinal cord. My parents went to Guruji, who as usual very graciously blessed a lota for me, which was sent overseas. Believe you me, I had blessed water for a couple days, and since 2005, I have not returned to the emergency room for back pain. Guruji used to bless a lota as per his own sweet will. So, little bit about this, that as mentioned in my book, मेरे को at a very young age, in my early 20s ही मेरे को herniated disc हो गई थी. And prior to getting that lota individually blessed for me, we had a jug जो गुरुजी ने हमारी फैमिली के लिए bless करके दिया था. लेकिन after I got married, वो जग मम्मी पापा के घर में था और यहाँ पर मेरे पास उनका कोई blessed लोटा या जग नहीं था. So जब back में वो chronic pain हुई, जिसमें I literally used to get injections in my spinal cord, और फिर भी दर्द में आराम नहीं आता था, तो वो कहते हैं ना हमारे पास रामबान हमारे गुरु साहिब. That's when I ultimately told my parents, and like I said, ultimate protector, ultimate savior, जब कुछ समझ ना आए, सारे रास्ते बंद हो, तो किसके पास जाते हैं? गुरुजी के पास. And sure enough, he sent a lota, specially blessed for me. और मैंने कोई बहुत डेली बेसिस पे बहुत रिलीजियसली कोई पानी नहीं पिया. लिटरली जस्ट कपल डेज आई हैड वाटर फ्रॉम दैट लोटा. और संगत जी, मेरी दर्द बैक की कहाँ गई वो मुझे नहीं पता. एंड इट्स नॉट कि बैक पेन कभी दोबारा नहीं हुई, बैक पेन आती जाती रहती है, बट उस लेवल की जहां मुझे एक वक्त पे ये एहसास हो रहा था कि शायद मैं पैरालाइज हो जाऊंगी, और कोई दवाई, कोई इंजेक्शन, कोई कुछ चीज काम नहीं करेगी. और गुरुजी की ब्लेसिंग ऐसी कि मात्र कुछ दिन उस लोटे से पानी पीने के पश्चात दर्द कहाँ गई संगत जी, मैं आपको बता नहीं सकती. Back then, he would instruct his sangat to either get a copper tumbler or a jug. In our case, he asked my parents to get a copper jug, which would be used by 4 of us, my parents, sister, and me. We brought him the jug. He opened the lid and asked for our date of births. He then chanted some mantras into it and returned it back to us. So step system लोटा bless कराने का कुछ ऐसा था कि गुरुजी हमेशा आपका नाम पूछते थे और डेट ऑफ बर्थ पूछते थे, और फिर वो लोटे में या जग में देखकर कोई मंत्र या कुछ भी अपना ब्लेसिंग करने का तरीका, मंत्र फूंक कर आपको वो लोटा वापस कर देते थे. सो नियम ये था that Guruji always instructed that clean this with your own hands using nimbu and namak, so lemon and salt, or ash, no soap. एंड गुरुजी ये भी कहते थे कि ये सर्वेंट से साफ नहीं करवाना, जहां तक पॉसिबल हो अपने हाथों से इसको साफ कीजिए. एंड excuse me, he also said we should not hand it over to the servants to wash it. Whatever you can drink first thing in the morning, drink and shower with the remaining. So जितना हम पी सकते हैं उसको पी ले, और जो नहीं पी सकते उससे नहा ले. Then fill it up at night and repeat the routine every day. We don't have to clean the lota every day. We can just rinse it and refill it. So ये तो है लोटा का routine. So moving on, life was going on pretty normally until my firstborn Anya reached the age of 4. She fainted all of a sudden while playing, and that turned my world upside down in seconds. At that time, I was pregnant with our second daughter, Amira, and I was alone in the house. I was so shocked and scared seeing my hale and hearty child suddenly pass out. I called 911 and rushed her in an ambulance to the nearest emergency room. I thought she had swallowed something, and the worst thoughts had clouded my mind. I grabbed her in my arms, ran down a flight of steps, and I was already a couple months pregnant, got into an ambulance. With sirens blaring, we reached the hospital in minutes. Now imagine the fright of a mother जिसका 4 साल का बच्चा उसके सामने अच्छा भला normally खेल रहा हो, and the child suddenly passes out and you don't even know what happened. So it was such a big scare. I was alone, I was pregnant, and all I could think was to call 911, which I did. After a couple subsequent experiences very similar to this one, Anya was put on medication and with his grace was eventually weaned off. With his meher and grace, she has been medicine free for 7 years now, and has grown into a healthy, young and a fit lady. Thank you, Gurupa. So उस टाइम उसको ऐसे ऐसे इंसिडेंट्स 2-3 बारी हुए एंड डॉक्टर्स ने दवाई शुरू कर दी. उसके बाद अपने आप ही she was taken off the medicine. She was eventually and very slowly weaned off. और गुरुजी की ऐसी कृपा है कि दोबारा नॉक ऑन वुड मेरे बच्चे को दवाई इस चीज के लिए दवाई की सेवन करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. एंड हियर इज अनदर ब्यूटीफुल पिक्चर ऑफ गुरुजी. आप सब दर्शन कर लीजिए. The next chapter talks about initiation of satsangs in New York, the tri-state area. In March of 2010, my second daughter, Amira, was born. The next month, I get a call from an auntie, Meera Johar auntie, that Guruji Satsang was happening and we were delighted to attend that. Now imagine, आप इंडिया से आए हो जहां पर आपको डेली गुरुजी के दर्शन करने की आदत पड़ी हो. And then, it's 2010. There was no concept of satsangs in New York, New Jersey area. संगत भी बहुत थोड़ी थी. And out of the blue, आपको फोन आता है, एक आंटी का, telling us that New York में सत्संग हो रहा है, तो आप प्लीज आए, because they were known to my parents. And I was so delighted to hear that. But उस time I literally just delivered my second child. So slowly that became a monthly cadence and the sangat started to increase. By 2011, satsangs in New Jersey were being held on a weekly basis. The first international Guruji temple was established on March 15th, 2014 in New Jersey, and that happens to be my second daughter's birthday. A sangat in India had this dream that a temple has been established and that temple has an entrance from the rear of the building and a 4-year-old girl is playing with balloons in the darbar. The first satsang, like I mentioned, happened on March 15th, which was Amira's 4th birthday. Amira had turned 4. The entrance was from the rear of the mall and a sangat walks in with balloons on the first satsang. Who comes with balloons for a satsang? So ये किसी को सपना आना कि ऐसे न्यू जर्सी में मंदिर खुल रहा है, एक 4 साल का बच्चा, तकरीबन 3-4 साल का बच्चा गुब्बारों के साथ खेल रहा है, और उसी दिन अमायरा 4 साल की हो रही थी, उसकी बुआ न्यूयॉर्क से उसके लिए बलून्स लेकर आई. सत्संग में कौन बलून्स लेकर आता है? Usually you'll bring flowers or chocolates. But she walked in with balloons, and imagine a sangat in India had already seen this visual. So, like we say, no coincidences in Guruji's darbar. और ये इतना पावन दरबार है हमारे गुरु साहिब का संगत जी, that इस दरबार में अगर हमारे काम आएगा तो वो सिर्फ हमारा सच्चा सुच्चा भाव और गुरु महाराज के लिए अनकंडीशनल लव. बाकी ना पैसा काम आएगा, ना एजुकेशन, ना डिग्रीज, ना लॉजिक, ना कोई किंतु, ना कोई परंतु, सिर्फ और सिर्फ हमारा भाव. So everything that happens, whether we perceive as good, not so good, or ugly, is his plan, and we call that Guruji's plan. And in his Sharan, we must never question his design. We just need to continue our lives chanting his name, doing Shakrana, and doing everything we do with the best intent possible. Leave the rest to him. ये आ गई भाव की बात. एक होता है एक्शन, उससे भी ज्यादा जरूरी होता है इंटेंशन. सो अगर हमारा भाव सच्चा है तो संगत जी मान के चलिए कि गुरुजी की ब्लेसिंग हमेशा साथ में है. Between 2010 and 2014, many life-changing moments occurred. Of course, the satsang started and Amira came into our lives. But soon a major curveball hit us. In 2011, my then husband lost his T-Mobile dealership contract and all his stores were shut down overnight. I wasn't working at that time and we had 2 young kids. No source of income is a nightmare in a country like America. But much to our amazement, we kept living the way we were. No one could tell from the outside what the internal situation was. In fact, people would ask me how I smiled so much. I knew it was my protector, my guru, who was helping me radiate positivity in such trying times. That's the moment I realized that satsangs are not always about happily ever after. They are about keeping faith in the most trying times and just somehow knowing against all odds he will carry you through the storm. So in the spiritual realm or journey or path, जो हमारा सबसे पहला पड़ाव होता है, the first milestone is faith. एक बार faith आप में बिल्ड होना शुरू हो जाए गुरुजी की ग्रेस से, उसके साथ साथ आपकी लाइफ में आती है एक्सेप्टेंस. क्योंकि गुरुजी कहते थे, राइट, जब हम मानते हैं तो मांगने की तो जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ती, बिकॉज वी नो that our God knows what's good, what's bad, and what we need, what we want. And there's a difference between wants and needs. So with faith comes acceptance. With acceptance comes surrender. And with surrender, we start to attract blessings. So it's very, it's all, tightly coupled and closely correlated, but it makes a lot of practical sense. So after 14 long months of living against hope, we both finally got a break. And since then, in terms of professional growth, there has been no looking back. We did our first satsang in home in New Jersey on May 19, 2012. There is a satsang behind this date as well. So back on March 18, 2012, there was a satsang at an auntie by the name of Kapur Aunty in New Jersey. And there was a handful of sangat, right? So, someone in the sangat said, and all of them were new sangat. None of them had really, met Guruji or spent time with Guruji. So they looked at me and they asked me that, hey, you've never hosted a satsang at your place. I was told that as the oldest sangat around, I should do it. And I simply said, my little one is too young, and when the time is right, Guruji will himself guide me and I will gladly do it. The same night, I see Guru Maharaj in my dream. And as you know, when you get a dream, it's really not a dream, but it is Maharaj actually visiting you. हमारी औकात नहीं है संगत जी कि हम गुरु महाराज के सपने ले सकें. जब उनको ठीक लगता है, जब गुरुजी डिसाइड करते हैं कि उन्होंने आज हमें स्वप्न दर्शन करने देने हैं, तभी होता. अदरवाइज यू कैन बी यू कैन कीप टॉकिंग अबाउट गुरुजी ऑल डे ऑल नाइट, मॉर्निंग, इवनिंग, आफ्टरनून. मजाल है कि आपको सपना आ जाए गुरुजी का. सो उस रात मुझे, जिस दिन संगत ने 18 मार्च की मैं आपको ये बात बता रही हूँ 2012 की, कि किसी संगत ने बोला कि आपको सत्संग करना चाहिए, since you're the oldest sangat around, and I just dodged the question saying that whenever Guruji permits, whenever the right time comes, तब मैं करूंगी. और गुरुजी महाराज का उसी रात को सपना आता है. So we cannot dream about him till he chooses to come visit us. That night was my lucky night. The dream was as follows. I see Maharaj pacing up and down our living room in a black and red chola. I see there is Sangat sitting and eating langar, and he even showed me the langar plate, which consisted of saag, dal makhni, and makki di roti. The date he showed me was May 19th, 2012. And basically it meant that satsang was to take place in my home on that day. तो गुरुजी ने सपने में ये दिखाया कि मेरे घर में सत्संग चल रहा है, और डेट दिखाई 19 मई की. तो ये मैं आपको 18th मार्च सुबह का ड्रीम बता रही हूँ. 19th मार्च सुबह का. सो 2 महीने बाद का उन्होंने मेरे को दिखाया कि satsang hoga ghar mein. So it was early morning and I reached for my cell phone to see the date, hoping it wasn't a weekday, and the phone tells me it's a Saturday. I was very excited, but the only downside was that he gave me the direction to conduct a satsang when there was no source of income, not a penny coming in. Well, the date, venue and the menu were given by him, so it had to happen without a doubt. Now उस टाइम जब ये सत्संग की आज्ञा मिली गुरुजी से, तो उस टाइम financially we were going through a very tough time. So the entire family was grappling with financial crunch in the US, and पहला सत्संग करने का आदेश भी मिला तो इस टाइम पे मिला जब कोई सोर्स ऑफ इनकम नहीं थी. लेकिन गुरुजी ने डेट भी दिखा दी, वेन्यू भी दिखा दिया, मेन्यू भी दिखा दिया, तो देयर वाज नॉट एन आयोटा ऑफ डाउट कि सत्संग तो होगा. कैसे होगा वो नहीं पता. So I woke up in the morning, excuse me, and told my husband about the dream. He said, this is the first time we are doing satsang, so expect a lot of sangat. And at that time we were living in a townhome. Our townhome was small, so he recommended a clubhouse. So जैसे हम अपनी बुद्धि लगाते हैं कि नहीं, अगर सत्संग करना है तो अच्छे से करते हैं, and focus हमेशा दुनिया पे होता है, संगत पे होता है, whereas our focus should remain on the fact that our guru is coming. And जब गुरु ने आदेश दे दिया कि घर में हो रहा है, तो वो लॉजिक लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि ओहो हम पहली बार सत्संग कर रहे हैं, अगर पहली बार कर रहे हैं तो बहुत संगत भी आएगी, तो चलो बिठाएंगे कहां पर, क्लब हाउस में करते हैं. ये है आपका प्रैक्टिकल लॉजिकल माइंड. सो internally I was reluctant to book a clubhouse because I had clearly seen Guruji pacing up and down the living room and the kitchen area. So he called the clubhouse confident that he will be able to book it because 2 महीने की बाद की डेट है, तो उसने कहा कि मैं अभी फोन कर लेता हूँ, अभी मिल जाएगा. But to his disappointment, they said that on that particular day it was booked for a party. Coincidentally, that party never happened. This was Guruji's way to ensure that the satsang happened at home. So उस डेट के लिए फोन किया और क्लब हाउस वालों ने बोला कि नहीं जी उस दिन तो पार्टी है, तो क्लब हाउस नहीं मिलेगा. एंड बाद में हमें पता चला कि वो पार्टी तो कैंसल हो गई. दैट नेवर हैपेंड. बट गुरुजी ने ये इंश्योर करना था कि सत्संग घर पे ही हो, और सपने में भी यही था कि गुरुजी घर में चक्कर लगा रहे हैं, संगत घर में बैठी है और घर में लंगर खा रही है. So, hearing what we heard, there was no choice left. Despite all his apprehensions about where and how, this was happening exactly in accordance to his design. Now, the second challenge was what should be served with chai to the sangat. The main menu was shown, but I wanted to serve something specific with chai prashad, and quite honestly, my concern was how will I get what I want in bulk? We needed to feed approximately 100 people at a time when we had no source of income coming in. Again, a reminder to the readers, know that at all times, Guruji is in charge. All we need is complete faith on our end, and by his grace, I had that wealth of faith. अगर कोई मुझसे पूछता है कि मेरी लाइफ में सबसे बड़ी ब्लेसिंग क्या है, मैं निसंकोच होकर कहती हूँ, मेरा विश्वास जो मेरे गुरु पे है वो मेरा सबसे बड़ा, जिसे कहते हैं ना, धन जमा पूंजी, वही है. So I thought about an uncle from Sangat, Anurag Maini, who used to make trips back and forth between India and US back then. I called him that morning and he confirmed that he was coming back to the United States for a meeting on May 21st. I said, Uncle, can you come on the 19th instead? And he agreed instantly. It was by Guruji's design that he was able to reach on the day of satsang with everything we needed. Meetha and namkeen for the chai came from India on the day of satsang. My parents sent me exactly what I wanted to serve for first satsang at home. मेरे को बड़ा शौक था कि मूंग दाल का हलवा सर्व हो, और वो उस टाइम पे चकलियाँ सी मिलती थी. यहाँ पर इतनी readily available नहीं थी. आजकल तो खैर सब कुछ मिलता है, but I'm talking about 2012. And on the day of Satsang, Guruji's planning is impeccable. The Anurag uncle picks it up, my parents send it to him in Gurgaon, and he brings it directly to New Jersey. The langar Guruji had shown me was sarson ka saag, dal makhni, and makki ki roti. Moong dal halwa had come from India. Now, to me, dal was okay, but saag and makki ki roti was a very tough menu. I had never made any of this before and was wondering why Guruji did not show me paneer makhni instead. Would have been much simpler. So, जब मेन्यू भी दिखाया गुरुजी ने, तो दाल तक तो ठीक था, लेकिन मक्की की रोटी, सरसों का साग, ऐसा इतना डिफिकल्ट मेन्यू मैंने तो कभी इससे पहले साग बनाया ही नहीं था. And imagine, making saag for the first time for 100 people, and I'm thinking कि क्या गुरुजी पनीर मखनी दिखा देते, वो ज़्यादा आसान रहता. So, as the D-Day was approaching, I had to be ready. We went to get the ingredients for saag one night prior with no clue what even went into it. So here's my actual experience, that I walked into an Indian store and literally said, Bhaiya, I need to make saag for 80 people. How many boxes of what should I buy? Literally, I walk into a store and ask this uncle ji कि मेरे को इतने लोगों के लिए साग बनाना है, 80 लोगों के लिए, मैं कितने डब्बे किस चीज के खरीदूं? And that man was looking at me that, is she crazy? What is she asking me? So the man at the shop looked at me as if I'd come from a different planet. He said, Madam, aap saag banaoge? I said, Bhaiya, just give me sarson, broccoli and spinach. I bought bags and bags of green leaves, not knowing how will I clean, cut and cook it the next day. Guruji is great. The next day I woke up early and things happened so seamlessly as if I'd been cooking this daily. The saag turned out to be delish. There is only one more time. I have actually twice now. I have made saag since 2012 and I only make it for his satsang. And जिस अंकल के बारे में मैं आपको बता रही थी, उनकी फ्लाइट का टाइम was that morning 4:35 a.m. और वो भी घर में आते ही he's helping me stir the saag. हम इकट्ठे मिलकर सत्संग कर रहे हैं और साग में कड़छियाँ चला रहे हैं. और गुरुजी की वो क्या एनर्जी, क्या मतलब उन्होंने क्या डायरेक्शन दी, and that saag was finger licking delicious because it was his prashad. Now that the saag was taken care of, the dal was easy, the snacks were coming, and the only thing left was makki ki roti. It was impossible for me to make so many rotis, and it is incredible how Guruji also solved for this. So iska bhi satsang hai. I was not looking to buy them and could not make them either, but his ways are unique. An auntie gets a dream that Guruji told her to make 150 rotis with another auntie who will make the same number. Sure enough, that solved our problem. Langar was all sorted and the first ever satsang of Maharaj was all set to happen at our place. So langar ka problem to Guruji ne solve kara diya. लेकिन अब मक्की की रोटी की जब बात आई तो ये लग रहा था कि इतनी सारी रोटियां खरीदनी नहीं है, बनाने का टाइम नहीं है, ना आती है. And उस दिन with a small kid, I have a 2-year-old at home, दरबार भी करना है, लंगर भी बनना है. And कैसे गुरुजी सॉल्व कराते हैं प्रॉब्लम. एक आंटी को उन्होंने ड्रीम दिखाई कि I think रश्मि आंटी एंड ताज आंटी कि आप लोग ये सेवा बांटकर मक्की की रोटियां ले आना. So without me saying anything, गुरुजी की छत्र छाया इतनी अमेजिंग होती है कि he's always looking out for his devotees. He knew कि my bhagat needs this. It's not that I was praying for rotis, but he made our lives so much easier in the most unique ways. Rashmi auntie had a dream telling me why he told me to keep a green item in my menu. So जब मैंने रश्मि आंटी को अपना मेन्यू बताया और उन्होंने बोला कि साग गुरुजी ने बनवाया है, so she said green signified prosperity, and she had now she had seen this satsang And according to her, this green thing on the menu meant that the financial situation for our family will turn around quickly because, like I said, green signified prosperity. And her interpretation was not too off. Within 2 months of doing satsang, and after 14 long months in total, things did turn around miraculously for us. And I will save that for the next day, that how, literally 2 months after the satsang, जो 14 महीने से इनकम बंद पड़ी थी, कैसे गुरु महाराज की दया दृष्टि पड़ते ही our financial situation changed, and changed so beautifully. And here's another beautiful picture of our handsome Guru Maharaj. And next week I will come back and read chapter 7 and 8. And chapter 7 talks about showers of his blessings. Sangaji, thank you for listening to me. I feel very blessed sharing a part of my journey with such wonderful listeners. कोई भूल चूक हो गई हो तो मैं क्षमा प्रार्थी हूँ. ओम नमः शिवाय. शिवजी सदा सहाय. Om Namah Shivaya. Guruji Sada Sahai. Jai Guruji, and lots of blessings to everybody. Stay blessed.